Hey, I warmly welcome you. I'm Dawid, and today we're going to talk about what message a person, a man you're currently thinking about, has for you. So think now about the person from whom you want to receive a message, and I'll try to extract from that person the message that is most important right now, that you should hear right now, so to speak. So we'll see what signal this person currently wants to give you, what energy they're conveying, and what can be heard subconsciously in this relationship. So I warmly invite you. I think we have an interesting reading ahead of us, so settle in comfortably, and I'll try to read the current energy, the current message from this person to you. Let's see what we have here today. So let's look at the beginning. The first two cards will be cards asking what this person feels for you inside right now, even if they don't show it. So we have the Queen of Cups in the first position, which is a card that primarily speaks a lot about such emotions and quite, I would say, sensitive ones. So, generally a card that opens this spread with very strong and quite emotional energy as it happens. Well, because there are also cups here, so the emotional part is immediately activated. So you can see some empathy here that this person may feel for you at this moment, but to also have a certain picture of this question, let's see the second card. And I have the Seven of Wands. So these two cards together give me this picture of, a person who feels very much for you, but these feelings terrify them and put them in a state of internal struggle. This Queen of Cups' emotional energy towards you is someone who is internally immersed in you up to the very top of their head. So they perceive you intuitively. He knows exactly when you think about him, when you're sad, when you miss him, and this emotional sensitivity towards you in him is enormous, and it's what's slightly crushing him, because he doesn't know how to deal with it. He's not used to someone awakening such depth in him, such inner turmoil, and it's not that he doesn't feel anything or that he's indifferent, because it's quite the opposite. Here there's a fullness of those emotions that are bubbling underneath. Even if on the outside, he maintains a stone face or pretends that everything is under control. But this Seven of Wands right next to it shows that he's fighting with these feelings like a lion, meaning he's defending himself against what he feels for you, as if these emotions were some kind of threat that he needs to put up a wall against. So he's in a defensive position. This isn't a person who sits calmly and processes what he feels. He's under fire from his own feelings, and he's trying with all his might to cut himself off from them, or at least control them. Maybe someone is telling him to let go, or maybe he's telling himself that it doesn't make sense, that it's better for him not to get involved, that he needs to protect himself. And he's fighting with many fantasies, on many fronts at once, with many such possibilities, fantasies at one moment, because on one hand, what he feels for you appears, but on the other hand, circumstances that complicate the situation. And on the third, his own ego, of course, and pride, which don't allow him to simply come and say it straight how it is. So he feels as if he's being attacked by everything that is between you and what was between you. These emotions give him no peace. They return, they come, they actually haunt him, wake him at night, enter his head when he doesn't want them to. He obviously struggles with them, because on one hand this Queen of Cups is purity of feeling, it's a truly deep, genuine, intuitive connection with you. And on the other hand, he's afraid of this connection because it requires courage from him. It requires opening up. It requires giving up this position of a tough guy who has everything under control. He's not ready for such a surrender, at least not at this moment. So what he's feeling inside right now is a state of emotional siege. He's full of you, but at the same time, he's doing everything not to show it and to defend himself against it. This combination tells me that he believes showing you his true feelings would be kind of like giving you power over him. So this is a very, very undesirable direction for him, I would say. And it sounds quite logical, especially looking at it, connecting these two cards. Well, I think this is the image that quite logically comes together here to this current situation. So it's interesting because it shows quite a strong defensive position at this moment, and it's very, very clearly visible here. He's fighting with himself, with his feelings, with this situation, instead of just letting go and allowing it to flow. This is very, very telling here. In the meantime, I invite you to arcanemoonshop.com. If you need a private reading, you have a question for the cards, I invite you to the website arcanemoonshop.com. Meanwhile, let's see what's next. So specifically speaking, what message from him wants to reach you at this moment? We have the Three of Wands and the Five of Pentacles. gosh, this 5 has been appearing quite often lately, and notice that not only, if someone watches my readings more often, well, they've probably already noticed that I also changed these decks here, so, well, even if, let's say I didn't shuffle these decks, they're still different, but I always shuffle them anyway, and still some cards repeat, right? It's quite interesting. It also shows that cards don't come out randomly, but in a specific way. This is always such information for me that these cards are not random at all, and it's not like they come out totally randomly here, but rather in a specific way. Anyway, the 3 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles in the context of a message from him that I want to convey to you right now to reach you subconsciously, what he would tell you if he could speak, so to say. And here from these 2 cards flows such a message that I would paraphrase in this way, that I wanted to build with you. I had plans. I saw us together somewhere further in some shared future. This 3 of Wands is a card of vision, a card of looking into the future, a card of a person who stands and watches for something on the horizon because he believes it will come. He wants to convey to you that you weren't an adventure for him, an episode, something temporary. He intended to develop what was between you. He even planned something, maybe was building up internally to some step, to some decision, and this message from him is like a request that, he didn't treat it lightly, even if it might have looked that way from the outside, but right next to it comes the 5 of Pentacles, and it changes the whole tone of this message, because at the same time he's saying that I feel empty now, rejected, cast out into the cold. This card is loneliness. It's a feeling of rejection. It's someone who stands outside and looks at the warmth that's somewhere there behind the window, but can't enter it. He's telling you that without you he's cold, that he lost something, that he feels like he was left with nothing, and as if everything he built or wanted to build fell apart in his hands. And this isn't just about you, because this 5 of Pentacles also touches his sense of worth, his life stability, his material and emotional foundation, which somehow shook inside him. He would want to tell you that he feels bad, and that your absence in his life deepens this sense of loss, so he feels poor. Not in a literal sense, of course, although maybe financially too. Something's not working out for him, but above all poor emotionally, poor spiritually, as if someone took something precious from him and now he's wandering around this world, and he can't find his place. This message has both pride and despair in it at the same time, because on one hand, this person wants to show that he had plans and ambitions related to you, and on the other hand, he admits that now he's hit rock bottom and doesn't know how to get out of it. It's not like he's telling you this from a position of strength, but he's telling you this from the position of someone who feels defeated by circumstances. That's my impression. So it's a bit like he wanted to shift or, transfer that kind of responsibility onto something more external. That's how I would frame it here, right? It's interesting. Perhaps you realize what this is about, perhaps not. I don't know. However, there's something here, some circumstance, I have the impression, that is very, very uncomfortable for him and very strongly influences what's happening between you. That's how I perceive it. But let's move on to the third question, which is the question about what stands between you. What blocks this communication and energy flow? So let's see why it is the way it is, and why perhaps this energy is blocked and somehow doesn't fully flow between you. At this moment we have the 10 of Swords and the Knight of Cups. Well, an interesting combination, atypical, a bit different. Because the 10 of Swords, of course, is a card of ending, and the Knight of Cups is a card of the romantic. So now the question is, how does this connect in the context of the question, what blocks communication? I have the impression that between you there is some huge wound that hasn't healed yet, and that's this 10 of Swords in all its brutality. Something between you died somewhere, something ended in a very painful, dramatic way, one that left one or both sides with the feeling that there's no point in going back. This is a card of total ending, a card of knives in the back, a card of the moment when a person lies on the ground and feels that they no longer have the strength to get up. And that's exactly what stands between you, because this wound is so deep, so piercing, that neither of you can get past it and talk to each other normally. Maybe there was a lie, maybe there was a betrayal of trust, maybe there was something one of you did to the other that the other person took as a blow, unforgivable, and now this memory of pain blocks everything, because whenever the thought of contact, of conversation, of opening up appears, the memory of what happened immediately returns, and it slams the door shut. This Knight of Cups next to the Ten of Swords is something very interesting because it shows that paradoxically the blockage between you is also an unfulfilled feeling, this romantic vision that didn't quite come to fruition. The Knight of Cups is that beautiful prince on a white horse riding with a cup full of love who wants to offer his heart, and he stands between you as an ideal that never materialized, as a promise that was not kept. So I don't know, maybe he promised you things he didn't fulfill. Maybe you dreamed of a version of him that never existed. Or maybe you both believed in some fairy tale that crashed into reality. And now this unfulfilled dream is as painful as that wound, because it reminds you of the pain, of what could have been, but isn't. So for me, what blocks communication between you is this. This is a combination of trauma with idealism, because on one hand there is this pain, this Ten of Swords, which says that someone here emotionally killed someone. Someone betrayed someone here, disappointed them, or destroyed trust in a fundamental way. And on the other hand, there is this longing for the beauty of what could have been. This knight who rides with love but never reaches his destination. And you are both suspended between these two energies, between pain and dream, between anger and longing. He wants to come to you with feeling, but every time he gets close, he remembers. He remembers, or you remind him of what happened. And you want to receive him, but every time you open up the memory of that blow you received returns. So this is such a vicious circle, right, in which the wound generates distance, and distance generates longing, and longing generates an attempt to get closer, and closeness generates memories that are wounds, and everything starts all over again. So it's like this unresolved past standing between you. Now, question number 4, which is the question about what he needs from you but can't ask for. Let's see what's in his head regarding precisely what his current needs are. Temperance. Temperance, meaning a card, I would say quite neutral. Actually, Temperance is a card that needs, it shows that he needs peace. Such true, deep, patient peace. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Meaning peace that doesn't judge, doesn't reproach, doesn't return to what was, but simply is. Temperance is a card of balance, a card of slowly mixing two energies into one. Yes, into one whole, into one. Generally, this is also a card of alchemy, which doesn't happen in drama or in fire at all, but in silence and concentration. So I would say that he needs from you now precisely this kind of peace, so that you are that space in which he can simply be himself without fear that he will be attacked, judged, or rejected. And perhaps at this moment, he doesn't know how to ask you for this, because it would require admitting how internally broken he is, how much he needs someone to put him back together. So this resonates with me somewhere in this direction. However, Temperance itself is quite an interesting card, as it's a card of a higher purpose. The card of an angel standing with one foot in water, the other on earth, connecting what is spiritual with what is earthly. So perhaps the more symbolic message here is that he needs from you this connection, this bridge between his chaos and your calm, between his fear and your strength. And he subconsciously feels that you are the only person who can ground him, who can make all these emotions raging inside him finally calm down and arrange themselves into some sensible whole. So a bit like a medicine, I would say. This is how it might work here. Alright, so let's see the last question, the question about what you should do now with this situation and what message the cards have for you. Now we have the Eight of Cups and also the Five of Wands, so two cards quite tense with a lot of tension or generally stress, associated rather with struggle, departure, and so on. So quite a clear message because they both speak about the same thing, in a sense in this case. Not easy, but still a unified message, which together tells you directly, turn away from what has kept you in place until now and start fighting for yourself, not for him. The Eight of Cups is a card of leaving, a card of a person who leaves behind what was once dear to them, what once filled them with emotions, but what now no longer gives them what they need. And this is not leaving out of hatred. This is not slamming doors or burning bridges. This is a quiet, conscious, turning your back on something that has been exhausted. It has given you everything it could, including pain and disappointment. You now need to move forward, go into the new, go towards something that doesn't have a shape yet, but which is calling you, because with these cups that you're leaving rather behind you, there is a mountain, there's a path, there is something higher, something further, something better. However, this is obviously not about you going quietly, meekly, like some nun, because this Five of Wands next to it completely changes the energy of this departure. So this is not a departure that is supposed to be so peaceful, quiet. This card tells you that you have the right to be furious, you have the right to rebel, you have the right to fight, obviously not with him, not for him, but for your space, for your boundaries, for your right to be treated as you deserve. The Five of Wands, this is the energy of conflict, rivalry, clash of forces, but in this context, it kind of tells you to stop being that good, patient, understanding one who understands everything and forgives everything, because until now, that has been your default setting. Perhaps he messed up, you understood, he disappeared, you waited, he came back, and you accepted. You accepted it all, and this Five of Wands tells you that it's time to end this, that you should now enter the energy of a person who says enough. Not in the form of a dramatic scene, but on the basis of an internal resolution that there will be no more. You will not give your energy to someone who cannot respect it. So this message is that your strength at this moment lies in leaving, but not in passive leaving, but in the leaving of a warrior. You're leaving because you know you deserve more, not because you're giving up. You're leaving because you have a fire inside you that requires better fuel than what he can give you. This Five of Wands is also energy in which people around you may have their opinion. Someone tells you, stay. Someone tells you, leave. Someone comments, someone interferes, and now you have to stand in the midst of all this and decide for yourself what is good for you. Not him, not your friends, not even the cards, only you. The cards are just a signal, and the choice, of course, belongs to you. So that's all in this reading. If you have the need, the desire for a private, individual reading in which we can check your situation more specifically, I invite you to arcanemoonshop.com. And meanwhile, I wish you a wonderful day and nothing but good moments. All the best. Talk to you later. Hey,